Okay, in the descending tracks, we have covered these things like the motor cortex, premotor cortex, and among the premotor there were the many premotor areas, supplementary motor area, and premotor itself was there. So the primary motor cortex is also known as M1. It is present in the precentral gyrus of the frontal lobe, extending into the central sulcus, and there is representation of the entire body point by point representation, and that is called as motor homunculus, with the feet at the top and the face at the bottom of the gyrus, and facial area is represented bilaterally. And if we look at this homunculus, say first of all this one, this is the central sulcus, this is the central sulcus in between the yellow and the red one. So in front of the central sulcus, this precentral gyrus, this represents primary motor cortex, and posterior to the central sulcus, post central gyrus, it is the primary somatosensory cortex, and behind that there is posterior parietal cortex, this purple one, and in front of the primary motor cortex, this orange one, this is the supplementary motor cortex or supplementary motor area, and this blue one, this is premotor cortex, this is the premotor cortex, and this green one in front of the premotor cortex is called as the prefrontal cortex. So this is how this cortical representation is there. And now coming to that homunculus representation, so if you look at this one, see how much representation the entire body has got. This is the representation of the hand muscles, very large as compared to their size, and this one is entire trunk, very less as compared to the size of the trunk. So this representation within the cortex, it doesn't depend on the size of the body, but it depends upon how fine movements there are supposed to happen. So more finer movement, more representation within the cerebral cortex. Like this is for the hand muscles, this is for the facial muscles, and this entire one is for the muscle of mastication, tongue, salivation, swallowing, all these things. So if we compare like this, the representation of the part of the body on this motor cortex with respect to their proportion, this is how the body appears. The maximum representation of the arm, this one hand muscles, and the facial muscle. Okay, so that is called as the motor homunculus. That is for the primary motor area, and primary motor area is also known as which Brodmann area? This is the Brodmann area number 4. It is concerned with the execution of the movement, like it will initiate the voluntary movement of the contralateral half of the body, right? Contralateral half of the body. Now coming to the premotor cortex, it is located anterior to the precentral gyrus, as we have seen, both on the lateral as well as the medial cortical surface, right? And this is roughly same as that of the primary motor cortex. The same type of the somatotopic map is present. It receives input from the sensory region of the posterior parietal cortex, right? And it projects to primary motor cortex. It also projects to the spinal cord as well as to the brainstem. And what is the function of it? It sets the posture at the start of a planned movement and with getting the individual ready to move. Mostly it is involved in controlling because it helps in setting the posture. So posture is maintained by the axial as well as the proximal limb muscles needed to orient the body for the movement. Upon that posture, the organized complex movement can happen. That is a premotor cortex or premotor area, area number 6. Now the third one is supplementary motor area. The supplementary motor area is located in the medial surface of the frontal lobe. It is located in the medial surface of the frontal lobe, rostral to the primary motor area. Rostral means rostral is, just remember it, rostral is rhyming with like nostril, so it will be anterior to that. So rostral to the primary motor area means it will be present anteriorly to the primary motor area. And on and above the superior bank of the cingulate gyrus on the medial side of the hemisphere, it projects to the primary motor cortex. It contains a map of the body, but this map is very less precise as compared to the map present in the primary motor and premotor area. It is involved in organizing and planning motor sequential part, like as I said in that part, the sequencing of the movement of the finger. When we count to us without speaking, which part of the cortex is working and which is silent? The motor cortex is quiescent, it's silent when we count to us without speaking. But when we count and speak the number, then the blood flow will increase both to the primary motor as well as to the supplementary motor area. So when we count without speaking, supplementary motor area; when we count and speak it out loud, then both the areas. Both the regions are involved in voluntary movement when movements involved are complex and when it needs planning. Okay, needs planning. Now, the posterior parietal cortex, the somatic sensory area and the related portion of the posterior parietal lobe project to the premotor cortex. And the lesion of the somatic sensory area, it causes defect in the motor performance, because the motor performance was receiving the signal from the periphery with the help of via the somatosensory cortex. So, if there is any lesion in the somatic sensory area, there will be defect in the motor performance, and that defect will be kind of characterized by inability to execute learned sequence of the movements, such as eating with an eye and a fork. That person might be able to eat the food, but those learned performance, execute the learned sequence, might eat with knife and fork or might not be able, but it won't be like the sequence should be: you cut with the knife and then with the help of the fork you take the bite. So that person might first start trying to take the bite from the fork and then try to cut. All these sequence will be mismanaged. Okay, the sequence will be lost. Some of the neurons concerned with the aiming of the hand toward an object and manipulating it. So these somatosensory area helps in all these kind of the movement. Other neurons are helping in hand to eye coordination. So neuron in the posterior parietal cortex contribute to the descending pathways involved in motor control. Okay, involved in motor control. And then, like say, if we look over here, the prefrontal cortex, this green one, this is also very important. This is called as the prefrontal lobe, or this is also known as orbitofrontal cortex, right? Orbitofrontal cortex, and this is lying anterior to the area number this one 8 and 44. Now this prefrontal cortex is very important. How it is important? This helps in, this is the center for the planned action. This contribute for the function of the premotor cortex. It is seat of the higher intelligence. The short-term memories are registered in the prefrontal cortex. It can keep track of the many small information, or we can say it helps in working memory. It helps in planning the future. It also allows the person to concentrate on central theme of the thought. All these are the functions. It is like, we can say it is center for the higher function, the prefrontal cortex. It plays a role in solution of the complicated problem, be it mathematical, legal or philosophical. Okay, and it allows to delay action in response to any incoming sensory signal. Why it is delayed? So that that sensory information can be weighed down until the best response is obtained. Or in short, we can say the prefrontal cortex or orbitofrontal cortex is the one which helps in reducing the impulsive action. Impulsive action. This is very important. This is not only important with respect to the study point of view. With your day-to-day activity, all of you people are very young, and in the young age everybody does टेक द इम्पल्सिव एक्शन, अरे इसने ऐसे कैसे कर दिया, मैं ये करूँगा, विदाउट गिविंग ए थॉट, विदाउट वेइंग डाउन। पर बाद में कहते हैं ना कि हाँ बेटा एक्सपीरियंस आ गया आपको, तब आप सीख गए। The whole experience, the whole reason is prefrontal cortex or orbitofrontal cortex. Why? Because this orbitofrontal cortex is not yet developed in all of you. It develops in the third decade. At the age of the 20 to 30, the orbitofrontal cortex is completely developed. That's why by going to the late 20s, you will learn the things to control the impulse. तब आप कहोगे अरे अब समझदार हो गए, ये हो गया. So that all these समझदार and all those things, that is due to the orbitofrontal cortex. So you guys, you haven't developed it up to the 100% of this prefrontal cortex till now. So this orbitofrontal cortex is the one. Yes, and if a person has any injury or any lesion in the prefrontal cortex, that person will be suffering from all these type of the defect. Like he will take the impulsive action, he will not be able to plan and organize the things, because this is the seat, this prefrontal cortex is the seat of all these functions, higher functions, or the seat of the intelligence it is known as. Okay, so that's regarding the